Hey everybody, this is Christine with Visionary Holistic Solutions, and today's video we're going to be going into some journal prompts on your dark feminine energy. So what does that look like? Your dark feminine energy can be constituted as many different things. First of all, there's a dark feminine archetype, which many people might associate with ladies like Medusa or Hecate or any feminine that comes across as being quote unquote dark, right? Mysterious, that sort of thing. But I also associate the dark feminine with our shadow self. So these are again the aspects of ourselves that maybe we hide or we have been told that for whatever reason that we should not display them, not be proud of them or anything like that. So today's list of journal prompts are going to be something that as a feminine energy you can dive deep within yourself and take a look at these aspects and be honest with yourself about. So because they are journal prompts, these are meant to be looked at internally, answered honestly, and not necessarily shared with anybody. Okay? So if these are the parts of yourself that you hide or repress or ignore, they're going to come out in other ways. Okay? So when you think of the word trigger, someone might come along and trigger you in some way. A lot of times when you are triggered by something, it is an aspect that is hidden or not faced or addressed or healed. So that being said, we're going to jump right into today's list. So the first journal prompt that we have for your dark feminine energy is, what are your deepest fears and how have they held you back in life? So pretty bold, straightforward question, A lot of times fears can prevent us from doing things in life. Maybe we have great ideas and somehow, some way we are stifled because we're too scared to move forward in whatever the endeavor is. So how have these fears held you back in life? Okay, so that is your first question. Okay, the next one is, describe a time when you felt powerless. How did you cope with those feelings? So was there a situation in your life that came up that made you feel powerless? I am strongly getting a pull, maybe you want to tap into this, as childhood, because childhood is one of the most prominent times in our life where we feel powerless. So maybe there was a time in your childhood where you felt that you couldn't scream loud enough. You couldn't say what you needed to say, or that what you said even meant anything. Okay? So whenever that time was, doesn't have to be childhood, that's just what came to me in that moment. Think about how you felt and journal about that and go deep down and be honest with yourself, right? What made you feel powerless? Was it a person? Was it a circumstance? Was it your age? What was it in your situation that made you feel powerless? Next one is, describe a time when you felt jealous or envious of someone else. What did that experience teach you about yourself? Interesting question, right? So many of us see something that someone else has and get jealous or envious, right? What's the difference between jealousy and envious? They're both very different, actually. Jealousy means you just want what someone else has. I'm jealous that you got something and I didn't. Although envy is its ugly cousin. I'm envious that you have something, and not only do I want it, but I don't want you to have it. It's like going that little extra mile on the jealousy. It's like jealousy with a kick, okay? So everybody has been jealous of someone else, okay? And it's a very real emotion. Instead of hiding those aspects of us, let's talk about it. let's go into our journal and be honest with ourselves. What makes me feel jealous of someone else? Does it go as far as becoming envious, where you just really don't want to see someone else have something or be happy? You know, whatever the situation is. Maybe you're single and someone else is partnered up, and it makes you jealous or envious of that person because they have someone and you don't. Children, you know, maybe you're unable to have children and you really want children, but everyone around you is having children. There are just different aspects to this, okay? So name one time, or you could go into this into numerous times where you were either jealous or envious. The next one. What's one thing that you've always been too afraid to try, and why? Okay, now we're going back to that word fear, afraid. Why have you been afraid of trying something that you've always wanted to try? Was it because your internal fear? Was it because there was external fear? Meaning someone else maybe had their fear projected onto you. Hey, I don't think you should try that. It could be scary. Maybe they projected their insecurities onto you, like you will not be successful. A lot of those situations are subconscious, okay? We carry them with us because maybe as a kid, your parents or grandparents or whoever told you that, you know, you shouldn't try certain things, or you shouldn't, you know, whatever the shouldn't is, okay? Maybe it put some level of fear into you and made you feel that if you were to try it, that it wouldn't be successful. And so you were just too afraid to try it. So however that situation looks for you, put it in your journal, be honest with yourself. Let's get it out in the open and heal it. The next one is, what is your deepest, darkest secret? Why haven't you shared it with anyone? Again, shame, guilt, fear. There are so many reasons why, one, it is our deepest, darkest secret, and two, we haven't shared it with anyone, hence secret. Maybe you had a big secret once and you shared it and it got blabbed, right? The rumor mill. Maybe somebody made you feel terrible once you shared a secret about you. And that is a space of being vulnerable, right? Maybe it has taught you that being vulnerable is inappropriate because somebody mishandled your vulnerability. And that is something to address, something to heal, right? Because what we're learning in this process of journaling through these prompts is understanding that it's not that I need to keep secrets or that I need to withhold my vulnerability or whatever else we're withholding or not addressing, not facing, not loving. But we are actually facing them. We are addressing them. We are embracing them and we are loving them. And we are coming forward towards them with a renewed sense of compassion and understanding that it's not that I need to withhold something, it's that I need to maybe share only certain parts of myself with certain individuals who have been deemed trustworthy or worthy of handling that aspect of me. Okay? So that is a boundary situation. So what we're learning in that process is, can I trust you with my vulnerability? If you give a little secret or a little part of yourself and you find that 10 other people find out about it the next day, that is a clear red flag that maybe that person is not to be trusted with your deeper, darker secrets, okay? So again, you can go back and think of how many times in the past your trust, your vulnerability was exploited, was broken, and led you to feel that you had to keep secrets because they weren't safe to tell somebody. All right? So the next one is, all right, what do you hate most about yourself and why? I almost am going to also transmute that into love. Let's look at both aspects. Let's look at the what parts of yourself do you not like as much, and then revert that list to what parts of yourself do you love the most and why. Okay? So it's okay not to like certain parts of yourself. It's totally fine. Nobody's saying you have to love yourself wholeheartedly, although that would be ideal, right? That's the whole part of this process, too, by the way, is to embrace those parts of ourselves that maybe we don't like as much, right? Maybe you're looking at your thighs, you're pinching them, I could lose a couple inches. Or you're thinking maybe if my hair color were different or whatever you're looking at, okay? What we're doing here is we're facing those aspects and we are embracing them with our love and compassion in a non-judgmental way and saying, I love myself as a whole, right? Even those parts that I may not like as much. And the next thing I want to say too with that is, why is it you don't like those parts? I am guessing, again, it's self-confidence, insecurity, that sort of thing. But it's also stemming from someone else telling you that they didn't like that part of you. So are you listening to the voice of someone else in your ear telling you that you don't like this part of yourself because you hear someone else saying it? Or is it your true inner opinion of yourself? So that's also something else to decipher in this journal prompt. Take a look at it wholeheartedly, deeply, decipher whose voice it is in your head that's telling you these things. Okay, so the next one is write about a time when you felt intense anger or rage. What triggered those emotions and how did you handle them? Okay, so again, we did mention a little briefly earlier about triggers, okay? Now they're specifically asking you to go deeper into the rage and anger aspect of a trigger, okay? So let's just say we're going to go hypothetical here because we're going to go back to the jealousy and envious. Let's just say you had a friend or a frenemy, whoever this person was, that was jealous or envious of you. And maybe you were in some happy moment in your life where you were celebrating something or enjoying something or happy, whatever it was, right? Maybe you created something beautiful and this person who was jealous or envious of you came up to you and told you that it was ugly or stupid or whatever happened, right? I think we've all experienced that to some extent. Maybe you got sad, but maybe you also got angry. Maybe this rage came out of you, right? And maybe you wanted to fight this individual. Maybe you wanted to do something else, okay? So that is what triggered you, okay? So that is just one example of how little things can be projected onto you from someone else's dysfunction, right? Their unhealthy coping mechanisms, but also how it can trigger you. And where your power lies is your response to these things, okay? So, when you are triggered, if you do lash out, that means there's some healing there to do. But if you are able to keep calm and keep your composure, that is a sign of true healing. Because you're now no longer letting that other person who triggered you have that power over you. Because whatever response a person elicits from you that's coming from a trigger holds power over you in that moment. Okay? Some people even know exactly what the triggers are, how to exploit them, and when to do it. Like you're in a vulnerable moment. Let me just poke you a little more and try to elicit a response. Yeah, it's pretty terrible, but there are people out there that do that for fun. So those people have their own issues, okay? I want to say that with all the love in the world, okay? I hope they heal. That's all I can say. But I also hope that you heal, because in healing, you're no longer giving them the power by responding in that moment to the trigger. Okay, let's look at what the next one is. Describe a situation in which you felt shame or guilt, and how did you move past those feelings? Okay, shame and guilt. This comes along with many situations. And again, I'm not hearing necessarily that you feel it because you just felt it for no reason, right? Someone probably made you feel shameful or to feel guilty about some aspect of yourself or something you did or said. So think deeply on this one. Why do you feel shameful or guilty in certain situations? I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you are a mother and you might have a job, you might not, okay? Your kids are your responsibility. Now, let's just say you want to take a day off from that and go have fun. Girls just want to have fun. And you come home and you are made to feel guilty for wanting to do that, or shameful for that. Now, that's just one example, okay? There are many out there that I'm sure you could come up with. But there's just certain situations, these are like our mores, which are our social situations, our societal norms, that a lot of them don't even fly anymore, right? This was from a time of when women did not have power in a relationship. They were the mothers, they were the caretakers. If they were to get a job, that could be considered selfish. They wanted to go to school, that could be considered selfish. They were led to be felt guilty and shameful for even wanting to do anything different. So there's a lot of that stigma attached to a lot of the things that we as women do in our lives, okay? And what I just want to say to that is we are bursting out of those molds, those glass ceilings that have been set upon us. So if you do feel guilt or shame for something, write it out, journal through it, heal from it, and know that you don't have to feel those feelings, okay? Someone has likely led you to believe that you should feel guilt or shame for doing something or being something. Maybe just being you. Let's look at the next one. What are your most self-destructive tendencies? And how have they impacted your life? Let's think about what is self-destruction. This could be procrastination, self-sabotage, anything of that nature. Something that you do, a practice that you have, and it could even be a mental thought process that sabotages or is destructive to your life. Let's just say you're looking for growth. You have a new business. You're trying to grow your new business. You don't know how to get out there. Maybe people are giving you suggestions and you're like, yeah, that won't work. That's like self-defeatist. So there's parts of you that are like, yeah, that's not going to work. And again, let's go back to where these came from. These are voices inside your head, likely that came from other individuals in your family, in society, that haven't made it doing what you're doing. And so they can't possibly see the outcome for you because that outcome didn't work for them. But a lot of it stems from self-sabotage. Are you willing to go the extra mile to do the necessary things to accomplish the goals that you're looking to accomplish? And if you say yes and you are and you go forward, but then you have these self-destructive tendencies, you will at some point likely give up, and then that's like a way of exerting control over the situation. It's like by not trying, you can basically say to yourself, well, it wasn't going to work out anyways, right? self-defeatist, self-destructive. So look at those aspects of yourself. How are those preventing you from doing what you want or need to do in your life? I hear it all the time. Like sometimes people will tell me, oh, I have this problem in my life, and I will offer a solution. Doesn't mean you have to take it. I'm just saying, hey, there's likely a solution out there. Maybe you can't see it right now, but here it is. Here's at least one solution. You could probably think of a million more. But a lot of people will come up with an excuse as to why that solution won't work. Rather than trying it, just try it. And then say it didn't work instead of quitting before you've even taken that step to say it will not work. All right. So let's go to the next one. Write about a time when you felt rejected or abandoned. How did you cope with those feelings? That's a big one. How many of us out there have abandonment wounds? This is real. Again, it likely stemmed from childhood. How many times did you feel you needed a nurturing caregiver and you felt rejected or abandoned? It might be romantic relationships where this occurred, okay? This could really stem from any place, okay? It's a big one though, and I ask that you dive deep on this topic because it honestly bleeds profusely into all of your relationships. So if it did happen in something in childhood and then you get into a relationship, you might tend to be clingy or you might tend to need reassurance from your partner because you have that underlying fear of rejection and fear of abandonment. So take a look at that. You can assess it in, a familial sense with childhood. You can assess it in your relationships. However it looks for you, dive deep and ask yourself about those types of tendencies. The next one we have is, what is one thing that you wish you could change about your personality and why? So is there something about yourself that you reject? Okay, maybe it's being silly, like class clown, and then you get into professional environments and it's not appreciated as much. Maybe it is being more childlike, more energetic, more playful. But again, maybe you've been told that it's inappropriate in certain settings. So, whatever that aspect of your personality looks like, ask yourself that question. All right, and this is the last one. Describe a time when you felt lost or disconnected. How did you find your way back to yourself? Here's another question. Did you ever find your way back to yourself? Do you still feel lost or disconnected from yourself? It's an interesting question because I feel that so many of us have not found our true authentic selves yet. And maybe we wear a mask in certain environments because we want to fit in. We want to feel accepted. But I will tell you this, the end result is feeling lost. So if you have not found your true self yet, I want you to think about how you locate that version of you. It is through your moon sign. Your moon sign is who you are when no one is looking. When you are just by yourself, how you dress, how you behave, how you act, how you perceive things, how you speak, any of that would be a true representative of who you truly are on the inside. This is who people normally don't get to see. Your truest version of yourself. Okay, and if you don't know your moon sign, that's okay. You can go to cafeastrology.com, put in your information. I don't normally put full names, I just put initials or even one letter. But make sure you know your birth date and time and location. And they're not pulling any of your personal information. That's another reason why I say don't put your full name in there. but it will give you your full chart, your full astrology chart, and it'll let you know your sun, moon, rising, and then all the planets and all the houses they fall into. It'll also give you a pretty neat description of what all of that means. So if this planet falls in this sign in this house, here's your little definition. And it goes in pretty deep about your personality aspects, and it might help you understand a little better more about yourself. Okay? So again, your moon sign are the hidden aspects of yourself, the person that you are when no one is looking. That is beautiful. So that is all I have for you today. I truly appreciate your time and energy exchange. Thank you so much for joining me today. The beauty in me honors and loves the beauty in all of you. Namaste.